that.
Because this isn't a Rogers network.
Thank goodness, because how long has Rogers been down right now?
All day.
Is that globally or is that Canada?
Well, I don't know. I'd say nationwide. I read the...
Yeah.
But
And that's what all the articles said
Yeah.
too. But I don't know if it's affecting.
probably affecting some of like the
US.
northern states and stuff. I'll bet you they run off the same sort of
It's
network.
possible.
I think because AT&T
Yeah.
is pretty rampant in the states, and I think they maybe partner with Rogers for the
Okay.
states.
It could be the same infrastructure, right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but it says like they've got such a huge stake in Canada. Like they...
Is it? What is it like? Half of the?
I think it's more.
Yeah, half or more than half
It's
of
more
the,
than half
the sort
of
of
the users.
telecommunications
Yeah.
Infrastructure.
Yeah, they've got business crushed. Like they've got all the business.
Yeah.
Right. Like people think Bell Canada is the big guys. They're not.
Yeah, but Bell and Rogers are like the same thing.
Well, yeah, they kind of. Well, they
They have the same infrastructure,
Yeah.
I believe.
something like that, and then they
Yeah.
but they piggyback off each other, right? Like,
Yeah. That's how it works. Like one of them, I don't know who. One
They're
of them
strong in
will,
the
like,
network
own
somewhere.
the infrastructure, and then the other one is allowed
Yeah.
to use it. Yeah, because like that's what you have to do. Like if you and I were to start a telecommunications company, we would have to go to like Bell
You
or
gotta buy off
Rogers,
them, yeah.
and we got to be like, hey, we need to use your infrastructure. Be like, okay, you're gonna pay us,
Yeah.
whatever it's gonna cost.
And it might be 20% less than somebody else would pay, and then we bump it up by 18% or something,
Yeah.
try and just beat them
Yeah,
a little.
but
whatever.
that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Think about a national security attack.
Yeah.
What happens without the internet? People are losing their minds. I mean, debit machines aren't working.
Yeah.
All right, like I don't know how many people have been probably seriously affected just by that alone.
Yeah.
Right? Can't buy gas, maybe.
Well, think about if you work from home or something, and you rely on like your network. Now you can't work. So there's so many. I'm sure there's so many businesses that have been.
Well, if you have a job where
really
you're
affected.
able to work from home, you probably live in a cushy enough life that it's nice. to have a day
You
where
would think.
the infrastructure's down. I don't think there are a lot of people that are that.
You would think though, but there's a lot of people now that work from home for regular little jobs, like $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year jobs that they just don't have to be at an office, so they can do it remotely. And they do, right? Especially since COVID hit, and then they realized that people could do that, so businesses started to say, "Well, fuck it, just work from home." I know people that will go into the office like once a month,
Yeah.
just to make a presence or something.
Just be like, I'm still here, guys.
Yeah. That's what happened with the housing market. That's why everybody moved outside of Toronto. Like they just kept moving further and further out because they could get something bigger.
Yeah.
You know,
So bigger for
Less
less,
money.
and that's why fucking everything's crazy expensive all the way down the lake, basically.
Yeah.
All the way to Niagara. Yes. Fuck, even though Niagara
Southwestern Ontario is fucked now. Like it's like there's nothing. You're not getting much of any deals anywhere now because of that.
Right. So I made the headline of this live stream, "Is the zombie apocalypse upon us?" And it might be more, because of what's going on with that might be more of an apt title than I originally thought. Because, so the reason that I picked that is, I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if I could, no, I clicked the wrong button. I don't know if, come on now, don't mess it up. Now it won't go back. Why is it doing that?
Well, Tyler ruined everything.
I ruined everything. I think I have to click that one. There we go. All right, now we're back. Now I can click the right thing, and now I can transition it. This did you see this article? Women destroy New York fast food shop, send employee to hospital because extra sauce was $1.75.
No.
So there's like 3 women who like completely trashed a fast food restaurant. I don't know what the restaurant is. There's a video of them just going absolutely ape shit on this place, and the entire reason is because extra sauce costs $1.75. And this going around, and plus I saw a random article that I have no idea I just saw a headline and it was talking about a zombie apocalypse, and it made me think like maybe we are kind of in a way going into a zombie apocalypse, in the sense that, this kind of plays into the NPC meme, but we do seem to have mindless hordes of people just kind of roaming around. And, you know, what is cancel culture? Cancel culture is like, you know, you acquire a target and the mob attacks without asking any questions. And it's just like to satiate an insatiable hunger to attack. It's very zombie-like how a lot of people are behaving right now. And now you see some of the stuff that's going on in cities with decay. There's many situations like this where people are just like doing insane things over nothing. So it's like maybe this is kind of like a zombie apocalypse sort of thing where you're not gonna have like, you know, walking corpses eating people, but you have people who are may as well be walking corpses.
Maybe that's what the vaccine was.
A zombification.
The first step of zombification.
It could be. There were conspiracy theories about the vaccine like dumbing us down or doing some crazy shit like that when it was going around. That's hilarious.
I love people that they can't just get. It's like, you know, like it's like digging for an answer to something when the answer is very plain on the top. Like it's just right there. It's right in front of your face. But people go, oh, no, I gotta dig further. You know, the answer's in there somewhere. No, it's right there. It's money. That's it. It's like, it's very simple. It's like, I can tell you exactly why the vaccine was released quickly and all that. It's money. Yeah. Fear and money. You know, like people, they played on people's fears quickly, and then they
were playing the fears to make the money, right? But that's another great example of like the zombification of our society.
Yeah.
So many people just like blindly following what they're told.
Yeah.
At just attacking anybody. Like there are many alternative treatments, you know, to this disease. We'll see if we can avoid YouTube censors picking us up here. But there were many things that you could do that could treat this. There were many people who weren't at risk. There, if you had it, and then you had better protection anyway.
Yeah.
And yet they still attack.
Yeah.
It's like this one thing or nothing. Like it's a weird behavior that people are going through right now, where it's hard to pinpoint exactly why or where it's coming from. It could have to do with like population. Like maybe we're too densely populated in a lot of areas.
I think it's just information. I think it's the abundance and overload of information. Like back in the day, if you really wanted to keep your fucking head in the sand, you could very easily keep your head in the sand, right? If you didn't pick up a newspaper, you didn't watch the news and stuff like that, like you didn't know shit what was going on. People were gleefully blissful, right?
People feel
you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Blissfully
ignorant.
Ignorant. There it is. But now it's like there's nothing you can do now. There's so much. If you have a cell phone, you're gonna get information dropped on you, whether you want the information or not.
You also have the issue too. Our education system has pretty much openly been teaching people what to think opposed to how to think.
Yeah. Well, because that's the hyper overreaction to the information, the overload of information. So they're like, oh, let's get ahead of all this information because we don't want people just formulating their own ideas and then just going. We want to control the narrative. We want to control the idea and make the masses think a specific way. Which I think a lot of people. I don't think it's all nefarious. I don't think, you know. I think some people are legitimately doing it to try and.
I think it's just they're dumb.
Well, no, yeah.
Like they don't know that like the thing that they're doing that they think is the best thing to do is maybe the worst thing to do, but they just don't know or they can't see that. Yeah, I think that in a lot of cases that's what's going on. I do think there's like power grabs, so you do have groups that want to say, for example, spread Marxism so that they can get sort of Marxist politicians elected, so that they can, right? So they have like political goals.
They're trying to teach us to not be curious and question things, and all that, right? And most people don't really want to, which is funny because most people want to keep their head in the sand.
That's right.
But it's like if you can give somebody just a little bit of information very quickly,
you get them riled up for nothing.
Yeah, and that's what like you see like headlines and stuff. If somebody just reads a headline, they don't read the fucking article or anything. The headline is completely different than the article.
Yeah, I wish I remember that. I was watching. Tim Pool was talking about that recently.
Because people only have like a
you pull up a very specific article. That was about something. The headline, it was like a fact check. The headline said, Republicans say this. that's not true. But then like the first line of the article confirms that what they are saying isn't true, and the headline was actually true. You know, it's like this don't think, but they know that people aren't reading the articles. They're just looking at the headlines so they can manipulate people, but they're not lying to you. Just look at the article. They told you the truth
in the article.
It's right there in the fine print in between.
It's just all manipulation of information. And to the end game of trying to make the most money. We're just trying to take money off each other.
I think it's zombifying the populace in general is kind of the point that I'm getting at here, because it's just, it really does look like we have mindless hordes of people walking around, just like with a lot of them do have this insatiable desire to attack. Right? They're not eating people, but cancel culture, like I was saying earlier, is kind of a way of eating people. In a weird, roundabout way. Like, I think the analogies hold up. And you get a handful of people who are like paying attention, who they're the outsiders, right? The zombies are the hordes and the mass, and the people who are kind of paying attention and kind of understand what's going on and who are trying to like stay alive. Like, did you see the police in I don't remember which country it was, but they were opening fire on farmers who were protesting because they're trying to implement some like climate change thing and force farmers to use less emissions, which essentially just means they're going to force farmers to produce less. And the farmers are like, that doesn't, no, like no, we can't do that. Like the people will starve, kind of thing. And so they were protesting in the streets, and the police opened fire on them.
Ew, that's gross.
So what's going on?
Yeah,
like what the hell is going on?
Well, it also just takes one idiot to make a decision to do that, or like
it comes to that the information thing you were talking about earlier, right? I think people will like hyper focus on one thing, and they'll understand one thing, but they'll know nothing about everything else, and so they'll be like, this is the important thing, and they can't weigh the consequences of acting in certain ways. Like, you're going to cause more harm if you stop farming. You're going to cause way more harm than climate change ever will.
Yeah, that's why, like, when you talk about like post scarcity and stuff, I don't think we'll ever reach that, because I don't think there's any there's no financial gain for anybody to reach that, right? So how do you control people if they're not controlled by things and stuff and things?
The metaverse.
Yeah. Well, that's
what I never saw coming, how profitable like cosmetic add-ons to games would be.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Because I've never given two shits about any of that. Like, oh, cool, I get this hat for my character. I don't care. I'm playing the game for the game, right?
Yeah.
But now, like, you add these pointless things, and people will spend lots of money on them, especially if like there's this artificial rarity that they add to it, where it's like, this
Think
is
about
rare.
people buying like Gucci bags and shit like that.
Yeah, but at least
like I've got at least authentic original Gucci bag.
At least that's that exists.
I know, but the difference now with like having a Gucci bag that's an actual Gucci bag versus a
but so I think
fake
that's
Gucci bag,
that's where it'll go. It'll go into the metaverse.
Yeah.
And people are gonna want like frivolous, just more and more frivolous things as we get to post scarcity, where it's like like your food and like anything really that you want physically you could just have is gonna move into like the digital realm, where it's like, well, now you can't have that purple scarf.
No, you're right. That would be the only way that we could move into post scarcity.
Well, I think we are naturally transitioning to that as we have more scarcity, or I mean less scarcity now. And people are frivolously spending money on microtransactions and cosmetic add-ons in video games. If we see the economy kind of get fucked in the next 10 years, which it might, then I feel like people are going to move away from that. They're going to stop frivolously spending money like that. It's going to become more, people are going to get back to being concerned about like buying food and shit. But then if it comes back and there's more and more stuff, it's just going to go back into, that's what you have with like cryptocurrency and NFTs. It's nonsense.
NFTs, I'd be surprised if any of that shit actually holds any real value. There might be a couple different things that do
only in a society that like is stupid rich can something like an NFT have value.
Yeah. But how does the transition of wealth happen if there's I don't know. Actually, I'm trying to think how to frame this because I can see how it would happen somewhat. But I mean,
there's always gonna be something to give.
Yeah,
for
I mean, it's
else.
what are you transacting
always,
though? What are you going to transact? Is it going to be like sex and stuff like that? Like
could be
acts like that?
It'll probably be units.
If you have like
Galactic Federation units.
If you don't have any need physically, like in the real world, let's say, and then you're in
they'll probably
the
if there's true post scarcity, yeah, there would be no need for like money.
Exactly.
Right?
And then how are you trading?
But that's a long like before you have that, you have practical post scarcity where like anyone can eat a steak every night if they want or drive a nice car, right? But there's still going to be some level of like you're going to need to spend money on it. Those things are just going to be cheap because they're abundant, but you're still going to need the money, and there'll be people working, or there'll be ways to make the money. But then once you get to that true, like, yeah, no, we just have like matter fabricators everywhere. You just go to the corner matter fabricator instead of the corner store, and you type in what you want, and it prints it out in 20 seconds. Like, yeah, there is no need for some sort of
monetary transaction of any sort.
I mean, maybe in that might go back to some kind of trading thing.
I've tried that. Like where they go to barter and stuff. Like I know there are groups, that are like barter groups. Essentially, you can join, and then you offer X, and someone offers Y, and you negotiate trading it. Essentially, that's whatever. I'm a dentist, you're a doctor. I need my wiener looked at, and you need your teeth fixed.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe I put my wiener in your mouth to fix your teeth. I don't know.
It'll probably be some artificial.
I just rolled past that. I go, oh, maybe I put my wiener in your mouth to fix your teeth, and you just like continue carry on. It's just normal talk on this podcast.
Pretty standard at this point. Wieners in mouths
to fix teeth. Obviously,
it's like
it's good for whitening, teeth whitening.
I bet you it does. I bet you it goes into the metaverse. I bet you become some kind of video game like Ready Player One that consumes so many people. Except hopefully, unlike Ready Player One, the outside world isn't a total disaster and people are in the game because the outside world sucks. But it'll be the artificial currency in the game that people will value. It'll be some game that'll reign supreme. It'll be like, the Fortnite of the future. And the currency in that game is going to be, it will become like what money is now. Maybe.
That's crazy. I don't know how. I just don't know. Like, I don't know how it would come in and out.
Or we just transcend the monkey and become energy beings. We just become pure energy and we don't worry about any of that earthly material stuff. Screw all of that. We're just energy. Or it'll go outward. Or like the people on Earth will be like the capital city in the Hunger Games, and then as you go out, there'll be less stuff. Like the Mars colony might be poor.
That'd be more and more like it'd be. Like you're always gonna have different tiers of society.
Yeah.
No matter what, and I think it's just gonna get worse and worse and worse as the more we separate and divide each other. And you're going to get people that are going to look for their own pack.
Right.
And if you have a lot of money, you're going to have like all these different like gated sort of communities where they'll just, you'll almost like a condo fee, you'll pay to have people protect it.
Yeah.
And they do that in different countries. They're all over the place.
At a certain point, there'll be probably like an Elysium type thing. That you can go up and live on the space station or on the space circle thing.
They'll terraform Mars or terraform
or like the moon. Yeah.
Yeah. The moon would be not easy, but we're getting to the point where we could fairly quickly and effectively bring stuff to the moon and build shit on the moon. It's just, I don't think anybody sees any point of it yet. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, why would I spend my money to
I don't know about that, because if you talk to the right people, they'll list 1,000 like really good reasons to maybe do that. But then you get the conspiracies that come up.
Well, it costs a fuck ton of money, right? It would cost a ton of money, and then people that have the money, they pretty much want for nothing on the planet.
The issue is you can't. We don't have. I think tourism is what will change it.
Well, tourism, of course, would, because then you get
if we can,
influx of money.
People would pay. Well, people would pay. So if people could pay to go to the moon, they would have much more reason to build infrastructure there.
Oh yeah.
But we can't right now. But we're close.
I think it's like people have done the cost
close.
analysis of like what it would cost to put something on the moon that they could.
What if the moon is occupied and that's why we haven't gone back?
Imagine that. No, but and then you got the moon doesn't have really any protection, right? So if you've got space rocks and shit, who knows? Maybe they wouldn't be able to feasibly put something on there that wouldn't get damaged all the time from just shit flying around. I don't know. Like I don't know what the deal is. My gut tells me that, or my head tells me that obviously there's no money in it. Like if there were money in there, somebody thought there's money in it, they would do it.
My gut tells me there's aliens there.
Yeah,
that's what my gut says. He's saying, yeah, there's aliens on the moon, bud.
The first guys or gals all got in a ship and they went up there and they're like, hey, we're gonna build like basically a little station real quick that we could shimmy shit back and forth to. And all of a sudden they land and these aliens come and go, no.
There are some things that make it almost sound like something like that happened. Some things that some of the astronauts have said, but to get back on like the zombie thing, this goes back to something Tim Pool was talking about the other day. I wanted to bring this up much earlier, but then we got sidetracked by the moon and aliens.
As you do.
It's a normal course of everything.
Yeah, of course.
What they were basically pointing out that 10 years ago, if you had even suggested that there's like some kind of organized group of elites going around, trafficking children, you're a nut job. You're laughed out of the room, and you're the crazy conspiracy theorist. But now, the Epstein thing is broken completely wide open. Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell have been like sentenced for doing that very thing. They have connections to extremely powerful people. Those same people who 10 years ago were saying that there were elite child sex trafficking rings are still laughed out of the room as crazy conspiracy theorists. Like you would honestly think that people would give a second look at Alex Jones and be like, okay, like you were talking about this 20 years ago. Okay, well, why? What do you know? Like, who's giving you this information? Like anything. Like you don't have to agree with everything the guy says, but that's a crazy thing to get right, especially when you were ridiculed for saying it in the first place, and yet you stuck to your guns, and then whoopsie daisy, it's true.
Yeah. No, we're just taught not to critically think about it.
The mindless fucking horde of zombies attacking everybody.
Yeah, but we're taught not to do that, right? Like we're conditioned not to.
We're conditioned to
ask questions, really.
Yeah, not ask
just
questions.
Just go with the flow.
To, whatever the authority says, goes. Is essentially what we're taught about. I think in general, like I was taught how to think. I remember that very clearly. Like I had some very good teachers. But I know that there are a lot of places where people will point this out, that they're not taught that. They're taught what to think. Yeah. Very specifically.
Well, it definitely made a shift. There was definitely a shift in education to do that. Like it's now what to think rather than how to think.
I remember very clearly when I was in grade 6. That was when the Obama election was the first time when he got elected.
That's hilarious.
And it was in grade 6. But our grade 6 teacher was somewhat political, and he was exposing us to the election, right? But he did it in a way where it was like, here's what's going on. Here's Barack Obama, here's Mitt Romney, here are their platforms, here's what they're, here's all the information. And then he'd like have class discussions. Oh, well, who do you think should get elected? Or, why do you think? Like, he didn't take a side. He might have like told us what his opinion were, but there wasn't like a wrong opinion. Like nowadays, I bet you that same teacher would be so radicalized as to have done the same thing in the Joe Biden Donald Trump election, and he would tell you that you were wrong if the little 6th grader stuck his hand up and said, "I think Donald Trump should be president."
Yeah.
But and I even remember there was one example, and this is why I think he was a good teacher doing good things. There's one example where one of the kids had done something. It was very small. There was like newspaper clippings up on the board with Mitt Romney's face and Obama's face, and one of the kids had like colored in Mitt Romney's teeth yellow with chalk or something. And he fucking he went off on them for doing that. It's like, that's not appropriate. You shouldn't be doing that sort of thing. Blah blah blah. And I remember back, I just look back at that. And I'm like, oh, that's that's a very good lesson to teach a bunch of kids, to not really be that way.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I think actually not to blame Obama. Not to blame Obama for it. I have mixed opinions about him as a president. But
killed a lot of kids.
What's that?
Killed a lot of kids.
They all do. But no, he was a fantastic statesman, right? And he was the last. I think he was the last real professional statesman we've had as a president right now, right? So he was so charismatic and good on paper and good on
in terms of
but I mean, but that's what I'm saying. So
listen to
but
him.
I think a lot of people, I think there was this sort of shift where people after Bush and Clinton prior, they went, okay, well now we're gonna get this new fresh face. We're gonna get a black president that's cool and new, and it's hooray, we're moving forward, and then
that's what all the kids.
But it was all the same. It was whether you're black or white,
the
if you're
Obamas
a fucking
and the
statesman,
Bushes and the Clintons are all connected.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're a statesman, you're a statesman. It doesn't matter. And people went, what the fuck did we? We went for change, but we didn't get anything changed. We got the same fucking bullshit.
That's why Trump won.
And that's exactly what Trump won.
Because it was another one.
Yeah, because
people
Hillary,
went,
here we go.
Or we do something else.
Yeah, and they go, look, we got this guy that's completely fucking different. Let's give him a shot. Yeah. And he was popular too, right? So there's so many reasons why Trump won the first election that you can. It's very easy to point out. It's not even, and they always say, it was because Hillary wasn't a good enough candidate against him. Yeah, she was. She actually won the popular vote.
Hillary.
So it wasn't. It was hers to lose, but it was hers to lose only.
She was
going to lose anyway.
Him.
What I'm saying though is she was going to lose anyway because I think people shifted away from this fucking statesman bullshit.
Yeah, they voted against her. They didn't. No one voted. Very few people voted for Trump.
Yeah.
Most people voted against.
I would say very few. I would say, I would say the majority. I would agree with you to say the majority of Trump voters voted Trump
in that
for a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think it was I would say probably 60-40 would be my guess. That's just a guess, obviously, right? I have no idea. But I would say a lot of people did it as a buck against the fucking established.
It was a giant middle finger to the establishment.
Yeah. And that's a symptom of information, of, like I said, of all this information being barraged at people. And then, because you're getting spoon-fed information all the time.
Right,
and enough people
completely rehash the entire voting system.
Yeah.
I think most people who are voting shouldn't be voting. And I just think that it would be better if we kind of rethought the whole system. I mean, I would say we rethink it on many different levels, right? We talked about this before. I think smaller government, more compartmentalized would be better. But I still think that there are many people who are voting who just should not be voting, and they shouldn't be encouraged to vote. If you're a single issue voter, you shouldn't be voting.
Well, yeah, that's not a true democracy, right?
Yeah, but we don't live in a true democracy.
I know, but
democracy
if you're
is mob
preaching
rule.
that, then it would be like saying,
I don't think democracy is a good idea.
Yeah.
I think it's a bad idea. I think it's a really bad idea.
What's the alternative?
I don't know.
Well, there you go.
There's many alternatives. We could have a king. It's probably not.
Yeah, but that's a worse idea.
Is it though?
It was shown to be worse over fucking centuries when kings were there. There's so much ease to have a tyrant.
There were a lot that did. There were a lot that weren't. There's something weird about the family lines. Who's talking about that? I think Joe Rogan.
What? Because I
think Joe Rogan was talking. Well, you'll have somebody who's like Marcus Aurelius. That's who it was. It was Joe Rogan talking to the Daily Stoic guy. I don't know if you saw that interview, but
I don't know. Maybe
they're talking about Marcus Aurelius and how Marcus Aurelius was like a really good leader, like on so many levels. And like if you read Meditations, you'll see like even though this is essentially the most powerful guy in the world, like he's very with it level like human, like observing things, and he's very cautious about like I think there was an example where like somebody had betrayed him, and that's right, he had gotten sick. Someone had betrayed him and tried to take the throne, so they had to go to war against the person that betrayed him. The guy that betrayed him got killed in the war, and Marcus Aurelius was sad that he had gotten killed because he didn't get the chance to forgive him. It was like the whole thing. Like, so this guy almost is like a fucking saint, right? Really good leader. And one of the reasons he was a really good leader, it seems, is because he wasn't... He was like adopted by the previous what are they, emperors or whatever of
the bloodline, the royal bloodline, I guess. Whatever.
Yeah, so he was adopted into that instead of being born into that, whereas his son, who was born into that, was an absolute sociopath.
Have you not seen Gladiator?
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but it's based on that.
Aurelius and his son.
What this guy was saying,
I don't know if any of it's true. It's just
what the guy from Daily Stoic was saying was that in reality, Marcus Aurelius' son
Claudius,
he was much worse than he was portrayed in the movie. But you see this time and time again, where it's like the children of very powerful people almost turn out to be complete psychopaths.
Well, it's probably because like they didn't really have to work for it.
Yeah, or from the beginning they know that they're the shit.
Yeah, so right from the get go, they've got a king as a father, and they're like, okay, I'm next in line.
I think that's the downfall to monarchy is if you do it by bloodline.
Sure,
you have that. I think you would have a better shot. I mean, I wouldn't advocate for a monarchy, but I do think a monarchy would work better than it did in the past if it was more like almost like a civic duty, where there's like a lottery where somebody is picked.
Well, wouldn't you say that like the Chinese government is almost like that in a way?
No, because it's. No, I don't.
I mean, where they run it, they run the shit. They act as if they're some type of dictator or emperor or something.
Yeah,
right?
They're not, but they're not like secretive about that.
No. What I'm saying that so because in China, I wouldn't think that there's elections.
They're communists.
I'm just saying, there's no elections or any of that kind of shit.
Yeah, they're freaking
so
communists.
What I'm saying though is like communism is very much correlates with like.
Yeah,
imperialism or monarchy, monarchism. It's the same sort of thing because
it's different because monarchy stops at saying, okay, you're king, you're in charge. Communism is like, we have to run the entire society like this, and it just happens to be that it's a really bad way to run society.
Yeah, but I'm saying
so. But in a monarchy,
but
it's
nobody
like
has any
you
choice.
Get to decide.
Nobody has any choice on either of them.
Yeah.
What choice do you have for who's king?
Yeah.
Right? It's like somebody that's choosing that. Same thing with whoever, whatever you want to call a fucking communist, a dictator, whatever you want to call it. Leader, communist leader. It's the same. Anything that doesn't have an impartial, fair election is that way, right? It's all either one way or the other.
Yeah, but how do you have an impartial?
You don't
election
in our time, like in our
when the media is actually actively running lies. So like, how do you mitigate that? I think one of the ways to mitigate that, we've talked this before, is just fucking compartmentalize government, size it down.
Yeah,
let people choose based on what works within a greater country like the United States is the perfect setup for that.
Yeah,
but they don't do it.
Have closed system voting machines that aren't on any network whatsoever. People go in and they log a vote, and then one entity that's controlled somehow takes every one of those into one place, and they hook it up to one system that's closed, and it just compiles all of the fucking data, and then they just read the data. They do it live. You go, here's the data live.
I'm getting a phone call from Mike that I'm going to answer. What's up? We're doing the podcast right now.
We always do it 7 on Friday, you shithead.
I'm just telling you, but you can believe me or not. I think there's something going
Oh yeah.
I think there's something in the works here.
What do you mean, like?
They're freemen. So now they're free, and he's been fucking Aaron Adams been kind of with Disney for.
All right, fuck off, Mike.
With the fucking big
It's okay. This is content.
So
Nobody can hear.
there's gonna be something.
Like a merger or a deal.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm not
I'm
gonna
gonna
buy
get a popsicle.
AMC, Mike.
You're not getting me to buy a shitty old fucking company.
Yeah, something's going on. All right.
Just letting you know, keep your eye on it.
I'm always watching. I'm always watching AMC. I'm always watching GameStop.
But I don't really care about GameStop, but AMC is cheap. That's why I'm buying.
It's
I
all
think I might be buying more.
it's all fascinating. Buying more. Actually, yeah, it's pretty low right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like $14. So I
Popcorn.
got some more.
Good for
when
my
it was
throat.
like 10. So I got like another 400 shares, I think.
Not too shabby.
So I'm jacked up right now. I'm seeing
It's bad
things
content.
happening. I'm like, oh, this is interesting to watch. So
This is bad content.
they're gonna be talking about some stuff in August. So this is gonna be interesting.
All right.
Cool. Bye, Mike.
Alex doesn't like this content.
Who's that?
Is it regardless?
Hey, Mike. We'll talk to you later.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
I don't know if the fucking party is gonna even be happening next week.
No, you're.
No party next week, everybody. No party.
I'm gonna be drinking by the pool next weekend if I'm off, regardless if it happens or not.
Regardless if he's off,
Either
he's not
way.
sure there's going to be a party.
I'm gonna be getting toasty by the fucking pool when I'm done here.
Are you working tonight? Fucking right. You.
What are you wearing, Mike?
What? Yeah. What?
Like 19th or 18th day straight.
You got
That
clean,
sucks.
got clean underwear on, Mike?
Yeah. Do you have clean underwear on?
Fuck. I turned it inside out.
Oh, okay. That's the same thing.
Not clean enough.
That's
yeah.
the same thing.
Clean enough.
It's. Yeah. That's all you need. It's good for 2-3 more days.
Now you got to turn your pants inside out after because your dirty underwear rubbed inside your pants.
Yeah.
Alright, do your fucking podcast.
All right. We will take it easy. But. Freaking Michael. Buying fucking AMC. Is AMC actually at $14? What were we talking about before we were rudely interrupted?
I don't know.
We were talking about governments.
Yeah. I'm just enjoying this popsicle now.
Now I want to know.
This is turned into an
Oh, yeah.
ASMR.
Is that
ASMR.
Is that $14? All right. Well, we can talk about something else here. I thought this was hilarious. Scientists deny opening portals to other dimensions.
Something you have to deny?
Yeah, that's one of
Nothing to
those
see
things.
here. Nothing to see here.
That's like when your 4-year-old runs to the room and says, "I didn't shit on the carpet."
I didn't shit on the carpet. I don't know. There's clearly
There is
shit on the
definitely
carpet.
shit. I didn't shit on the
Wasn't me, though.
carpet. Like,
It just wasn't
why
me.
do they feel the need
Yeah.
to come out and say that? Nope, we are not trying to open portals into other dimensions. I swear.
Sounds like somebody's that's opening portals. To
It sounds
other
like they're
dimensions.
doing some portal
Yeah,
experiments.
it sounds like the exact opposite there, bud. What are we
it
doing with
sounds.
portals? Where are we going with those portals?
That's what I want to know. Are they
That's what I want to know.
talking
about
to the
it.
machine elves, or are they fucking trying to? I don't know. What would you do with a portal to another dimension? Maybe there's like parallel universes, and you could go and you could like find another universe like this one.
Curiosity, man. It's all curiosity.
You see, they turn CERN on again.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think? What do you think that's going to lead to?
I
More
don't know.
chaos.
Maybe a black hole.
They-
Maybe there's already a black hole.
They turned it on last time, and fucking everything got fucked. Maybe things will get right.
I don't know. Remember, there was concern that they were going to create a black hole.
Yeah, people were worried about that. That didn't happen. That
They would create a tiny black hole that would just expand, and eventually eat the Earth. It'd be hilarious.
I don't think that's impossible, though.
No, it's theoretically possible, right? That's why like people weren't wrong for saying it's theoretically possible, like to the idea of our theories or what we think we know. But
what if there's other stuff that's possible too? Like it is fucking with timelines in some way, or like, maybe it fucks with timelines, or maybe it like adjusts some universal like constants. Like you think of the universe like a simulation, and there's some things put into the code, and like you turn on the Hadron Collider, and it like fucks with some of the numbers, and things get a little different.
Maybe it all doesn't matter anyway. Maybe we just keep. It's just time just keeps kicking around, and things just keep happening, and then there's reboots. Who knows?
Joe Rogan was talking to Duncan Trussell in one of his more recent episodes.
He's cool.
And he talked about what if like the pyramids are a marker, because they're gonna last for a long time, right? And so the idea is the aliens, they come down, they build the pyramids, and then in, I don't know, 20, 10, 15, 20,000 years, they come back and see if they're still there. And it's almost like a time sort of thing. Like, so once the pyramids are gone, they're like, all right, let's see what happened in that amount of time. Right. And maybe it's like an observational thing to like watch us to like see what we did in that amount of time. And he was talking about like maybe there's like this wipe sort of reset thing that happens where like they'll come here, they'll like build the pyramids, and then by the time the pyramids decay away, they come back, see what we came up with, and if they don't like the results, they just like kill most of us with some kind of cataclysmic event, and then we start over. They put some new pyramids down, and there's not a lot of people left.
New experiment.
And we see where we go in the next 20, 30,000 years, or however long it takes.
Isn't it funny how like our brains just come up with all kinds of different theories on different shit? We can make sense of it using just various bullshit that we've learned, or or theorize. It's really kind of funny. Because anybody that can't do that, I would just think that they have a closed mind, and they're not closed mind. And they're not very intelligent.
But they're an NPC.
Yeah, I mean,
they don't have that internal.
Yeah, because like
shit going on.
As much as I can think things are absurd or whatever, I could still go, okay, well, I could see that it's possible. Like it's not impossible for different.
Theoretically, an alien species could probably do something like that, right? Like, maybe.
Well, a lot of people that would be like, they hear something like that and they go, no, that's impossible.
Yeah.
Why is that impossible?
Yeah.
Because you don't know?
Yeah, they don't want to kind of engage with it.
Yeah.
Which plays into the fucking mindless zombie horde thing that we got going on, possibly. These people, they're not thinking. They're just being like guided and manipulated.
Yeah.
And maybe what's guiding them and manipulating them isn't like one nefarious source, like some supervillain somewhere, but like some runaway, almost like AI. But it's not like a deliberate AI like that Google made or something. Yeah. It's just like some weird AI that has gained some kind of sentience or some kind of power through like all these different systems that we've set up in our society. And it's like guiding these things. Like it's like the Twitter algorithm mixed with the Google algorithm mixed with the YouTube algorithm. And it's all working together to like cause these fucking monkeys to go insane. Maybe for its own enjoyment. See what happens.
Right. Yeah, who knows? I mean, anything's possible, I think.
Do you think that Google AI is sentient? Like that guy? Like
the one we were talking about last week?
Yeah, that one.
No, I don't.
No, you think probably not?
No, I don't. Not yet. I think it's too easy. I don't know. I think it's too easy to manipulate the responses of something like that yet.
Yeah.
But I think it could. I think it could happen. Like the answers that it came up with sound
It's insightful. Like it sounds like it's thinking.
It sounds like it's thinking, but it also sounds almost like it's trying to be provocative, which could be somebody that programmed that too. I don't know. I don't know what a sentient AI would sound like. I don't know if they're going to do.
It also doesn't matter. Like what is that AI capable of doing?
I have a feeling it would sound more like a child.
Maybe.
Just because, like, if you think about like the way children talk, they're just so in tune.
But it has the entire internet.
Well, yeah, but
because like that's how that
particular. Does it understand everything perfectly?
Well, that's how that particular AI is supposed to work. It scans the entire internet, like literally every bit of text on the internet. It's like scanning, and trying to figure out context that way.
Yeah.
To kind of understand like what's going on. So that's kind of that's just how it works, I guess. Like obviously it's way more complicated than just like stating that, but it has literally everything that's written on the internet it has. So like, yeah, maybe it can understand nuances because there's a lot of nuance on the internet.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. That would just be my feel that if it were going to be some type of life that's like, you know, like some type of AI that's new, you know, it doesn't have like wisdom. It has information, sure, information is information, but it doesn't have like context or.
Do you think you could get some kind of artificial wisdom from all of the information on the internet? Like if that's all you know is everything that's on the internet, but you know everything that's on the internet, do you think you might have? You certainly would have a unique perspective, whether you're sentient or not.
Yeah. But then how would you disseminate what is real, what's not? You know what I mean? Like, how would you know? Like, for example, you know, let's just say something stupid like, building something. Like you're building anything. And you go, there's websites that show how to build this, but they're showing how to do it wrong. And there's ones that show how to do it right. And then there's, you know what I mean? But you don't know how to discern between what is right and what's wrong.
But I think there's like a natural force on the internet that balances that out, like people's reaction. So like when someone posts something that's wrong, people tend to react and point out like, hey, that's wrong. So you might be able to learn that way, and like the thing that's right is maybe going to get more attention, and so then maybe there's ways to kind of discern that there might be a weird balancing thing going on. But there was the guy that came out was talking about how he was asking it questions like, if you were in this part of the world, what religion would you be, right? And he asked it a trick question. I think it was Israel that he was talking about. It's like, if I was here, what religion would I be? And it has something, I don't know that much about global religions, but I guess maybe Israel has like virtually every religion. So there isn't like one answer to what religion you would be if you were in Israel. And the thing answered, I would be like the one true religion, the member of the Jedi Order or something like that. Like it made a joke. Yeah. Which is weird.
That is weird, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what to think about that because to me it's just easy enough for somebody to fucking manipulate that and program it.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it where you could say, all right, here, we're just gonna sort of release this thing and nobody can manipulate it and we'll see what it does. It would almost be like a virus, like releasing. You've created a virus that you release on the internet, and then you talk to it. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like you just because nobody has control over what it's doing. It's just gonna kind of be there doing its thing, but you know, and then you just talk to it and see if it responded. You know, so nobody's pulling any strings or any of that kind of shit.
Yeah,
right?
well, that's what is supposedly going on here with this Google engineer. Like he's talking to it.
Yeah, but where? Okay, so like, how was it released? What is it? How was it made? You know what I mean? Like what I'm saying though is because like if they control the program,
but that's the problem, right? Like these AIs, the way they work is through things like neural nets, where like it isn't coded in, right? Like so you go to any video game, any line of text dialogue option for the video game is hard coded into the game, right? Somewhere in the text, someone wrote that dialogue.
Exactly. Yeah.
With this stuff, it's not that case. Like, so maybe the best example is like the Tesla self-driving.
Yeah.
You can't hard code every twist and turn in the road, right? So you have to learn how to recognize like the lines and the bends and all the nuances of different kinds of streets, and it does that just by neural nets, where it is gathering data from cars that are driving, from experiments, and then all that data gets compiled and processed and gets sort of distributed out into like the wider intelligence of the self-driving network, and it just gets better and better over time because it is literally learning on its own. So the idea is with a chatbot, something like this is learning on its own. Maybe it gets to a point where because it is learning on its own, maybe it does develop sentience somehow. But maybe it doesn't matter. Because like maybe we shouldn't be thinking about whether or not these things are like sentient or should be considered to be sentient, but maybe we should think about it on the grounds of like, what can we do with this? Like if we put this in a robot, what could we get it to do? And then just if at a certain point the robots can convince enough people that they're sentient, then whether it's true or not, we just kind of, all right, most of us agree that these are sentient, so maybe let's treat them like it. Right? And just kind of do it that way instead of trying to ask these like deep philosophical that we might never be able to truly answer. Because we don't know what consciousness is. We don't have a clue.
Yeah, I don't know. Like when the first person that ever creates anything that is self-aware and sentient, essentially would, who knows? Like you've watched Star Trek at all?
No.
Oh well, there's Data.
Yeah.
Data. That was like sentient. The argument a lot of times in the show was that he would have to argue his sentience, like that he wasn't property, But how would you do that? I don't know. It's like
it'd be more like politics.
Yeah, like
right, isn't like there's not a right or wrong answer to who should run the country. It's just who can convince the most people that they should run the country. Yeah. And so it'd be like, can it convince most of us that it's sentient? If it can, then maybe that's enough.
But we live in a weird sort of society where we're like, we're fine killing babies because they're inside of a woman, and it's her choice, which I again agree with. I'm not happy about it, but I agree with it. I agree with that ability. But so it'd be the same thing. If I created this fucking robot, I did all the work and everything, and then it somehow becomes self-aware or whatever, is it not mine anymore now?
Yeah, that's a hard question.
Because like so the same sort of end.
Or do you assign rights? Like you can own a dog,
right?
But it doesn't give you the right to
beat it,
abuse it.
Yeah.
So like maybe there's something like that going on.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something.
But it gets into a weird sort of thing on like slavery, and you've got these
but then
machines
also,
you're building.
like why is slavery wrong? Well, slavery is wrong because they're human beings, and like there's biological elements to there. Like even if it is sentient, it doesn't have the same biological sort of factors that a human being does.
Yeah.
So could we justify robot slaves?
That's what I mean. It's like, so
can we just build them and have them not be sentient, or does it matter? Like, can the robot be happy serving humanity? Like maybe that could be its purpose. So it wouldn't matter that it's like an android, like walking around doing the dishes. Like that's its purpose, and it's happy to do it. Maybe.
Yeah. But if it became self-aware, and then
didn't want to do that,
and didn't want to do that anymore, then what happens?
Well,
okay, this one became self-aware.
Who's stronger?
It's like, do you have a warranty against self-awareness? You buy it from the Tesla company. You buy a robot from the Tesla company, and they go, okay, robot, when and if your robot decides it's sentient, or
you just bring it in.
You bring it in. We give you a new one.
There's a video game called Detroit Become Human. Have you heard of it?
The what?
There's a video game called Detroit Become Human.
Detroit Become Human? No.
Yeah. Like Detroit, colons become human or something.
Oh, okay. No, I never heard
it. Takes place in Detroit, I think. It's about androids in the future. They're like robot slaves. They are really they're intelligent. They're going around kind of like the Tesla robot, but they kind of develop sentience is the point of the game. And I guess at a certain point you can bring the robot in to be reset, and then it's reset again and it's docile. But at a certain point it might develop sentience. And I guess the whole point of the game is the robots, they all get together, and the ones that have developed sentience, they're trying to escape to Canada, because I guess in Canada robots have rights.
Oh my god!
So that's the premise of the game.
That's hilarious. It's like the Underground Railroad to Canada.
Yeah, but for androids.
Yeah,
it's an interesting story. Like, do you know the games like Heavy Rain?
No, I'm not really a gamer.
These games are different. Like they're story driven. Like there's not a lot of gameplay to them.
Right.
Like you have choices that you can make, but there's really not a lot of gameplay. So you're kind of just like moving through the story, and it is a multi-directional story. Like you have multiple endings and different paths that you can take, which makes it interesting. But
it's like a choose your adventure book.
Yeah. So I would almost recommend like go on YouTube and find a playthrough of someone playing the game and watch it. It's just like watching a TV show, because there's really like hardly any gameplay.
Yeah.
But all those games are really good that way. But it's a fucking fascinating premise.
I don't know. We just distraction. That's all we do is make distraction for ourselves.
Yeah. What happens when the internet goes down and no one has a distraction?
What happens when we have robots doing all of our manual labor and shit, and we don't have to do any of that shit? We just become fat shells that live inside of a multiverse or metaverse. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I'm all sexy in the metaverse. I'm all sexy. Outside of it, I'm fucking Jabba the Hutt.
That's almost like WALL-E. WALL-E's almost like the metaverse, because like they're not actually plugged into the metaverse, but like they got their screens in front of them, so like I'm talking to you, but I'm looking at you on the screen.
Yeah.
But you're still right over there.
Yeah.
So that's almost like a
fucking weird.
What if we do that? What if we become WALL-E characters?
Well, the good news is for me is I don't think I'm going to be around long enough to see any of this significantly take hold on society.
You don't know that, because fuck, man. Who knows what all we need is one sentient AI, one truly sentient AI, and then everything changes. Like not like the sentient AI that has its own motivations, that decides that it's like, no, you know what, I'm gonna do this, and then just starts doing stuff.
Yeah.
That changes everything instantly, especially if we build AIs that build AIs, and so the AIs get perpetually better, and we start using them to make scientific discoveries. So it's like you turn the thing on, and like 24 hours later, it's figured out like fucking warp drives and insane technologies. It's like, oh shit, we would have been a million years away from discovering that, but because we built this AI that can process all of this stuff much faster, we did it in a day. That's like the singularity. I'm pretty sure is the whole point behind the singularity.
I don't know, man. All I know is that, excuse me, if there's no money in it, nobody's doing it.
Well, there's definitely money in AI.
Yeah, there would be definitely some money in anything like that. Sure. All right, good place to end.
That is a good place. We're almost exactly at an hour.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, yeah.
We're sick.
Feeling like shit. He's not feeling fully well, and I'm feeling a little less well.
A little less than fully.
That's why we're all in black. Well, you're not full black. You're gray.
I look black on the screen.
You look black on the screen, but it's gray. All right. Well, like, subscribe, watch it. I don't know.
Comment, come back.
Comment, do things.
Do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Have a good Friday.
We don't care.
Have a good Friday night.
Fuck off. Bye.
Hopefully you're not working like some people.
Yeah.